Hey guys, and welcome back. So, gonna get right down to things. Now, the first thing we're gonna want to do from here is head down to the undead merchant.
Ow. Never have to.
We're gonna want to grab a short bow. Now, this class, being soul level 1, you can't actually wield it properly. We won't be using it to actually kill anything, but it'll come in handy later, and you'll see why. But for now, we're gonna head up to the bridge. Now, this part is kind of unnecessary. There are other ways you can get around, but I like having this way open, and so I would advise going this way. If you don't go this way, then it can be kind of tricky if you want to go from one area to another later. So I just recommend opening this. So here's how you're going to do it. Make your way over to here. He'll eventually get pissed off that you're hiding from him, and there he goes. I've never had him land on me. I'd assume he could kill you, but you can cut it really close there pretty safely. So immediately come in here, because that will happen, and you do not want to be in there when that happens. And just watch him as he flies away, depressed, because he couldn't kill you. Goodbye. Forever. Except not really, because if you leave the game and come back and go to the same area where you first triggered him, he will fly by again and smoke you. You can light that bonfire if you want, but don't rest at it just yet. You'll want to grab these items. You don't really need to grab the claymore, but I was there, so I wanted to. And at this point, you'll want to rest at it. You don't want to rest at it the first time because it respawns those guys, and you'll have to fight them to get the soul. So you're opening up this way. So that's the way I wanted to open. It's just nice to have, especially if for the late game, maybe you want to warp there to fight the Black Knight later. I just like having it open, basically. So this part, very important. As soon as you hit this area, start running. Regenerate your stamina on these stairs, and then once you get to that point, just run and make it in. Because this guy closes this gate on you, and if he successfully does that, you have to go a long way around. I was trying to get both of those guys to be crushed by standing in the doorway so they wouldn't advance as quickly. If you can do that, you'll want to. The wooden shield, I should be using that wooden shield. I didn't know it was it's actually better than the cracked one that I'm using. And that will actually repel them, I believe. It will repel their hits. And so I'm actually in trouble here. I should be using a better shield. The wooden shield is much better. But yeah, if you can use the wooden shield and shield them in that archway where it comes down, it will repel their hits. And they'll be stuck under it or behind it. You won't have to fight them. Now, when you open it, they'll still be there like those guys are. At that point, you just want to run. The gate's open. The guy who closes it doesn't respawn. So you're going to want to just run for it. These guys are easy enough to get around. Just dodge left like that. You avoid the crossbow arrows that way, or bolts I should say, and then you can get around them pretty easy. And at that point, you're safe. Now we're down to Andre, the first blacksmith. And this is also the area where we're going to grab some important items just past Andre. But for now, I'm going to head back down to Firelink. And so when you're going down this elevator, you're going to want to get off a little early. So once it opens up, look down, find your spot, get on there. The reason we're doing this is you can go back to the asylum, and we're going to want to eventually. But you need this key on here to open up a door in the asylum we need to go through. And so if you want to get... But you have to go back up there to get to the asylum. And so normally it would take 2 trips. So we're just going to kind of grab that on the way. So that when we do want to go to the asylum, we already have the key. So, sprinting back through here, going to the female undead merchant. Now, I'm going to show you guys the, by far, easiest way to kill the Capra demon. I usually tend to go the harder ways when I'm playing. I like to show those, just as a, I don't know, to test myself, I guess. But this way is so unique and kind of cool that I really just had to try it. So go ahead and grab this soul we didn't grab the first time through. The reason we want to kill Capra is because he has the key to the depths, and in the depths is where we're going to find the large Ember, which we need to upgrade our weapons past +5. So make your way past these thieves. There are the dogs up here. Make your way past them. Don't use a fireball in terrible locations. Alright, and so you're going to want to get to the edge of this grass, like right at that far middle tuft of grass you see. You want to stand about here. And this is where that bow is going to come in handy. Because, interesting enough, while we can't use it, it does allow us to aim things. This can be used in conjunction with the crossbow. That's a particularly useful way. You can aim where you want with a bow for long-range shots, and then fire the crossbow, and it'll hit in about the same place. So, that's a very cool technique. But right now, we're going to use it for dung pies. So you guys saw where I was aiming there. I'll do it again if you missed it. But you're going to want to stand in about that spot. Throw 3 or 4 dung pies. Don't get toxic to yourself. Don't venture too far behind me right now either, because that ambush is there. But you want to aim right about there. You can use those white dots as a marker, and 5 or 6 dung pies should do it. And so there you go. If you guys didn't know what I was doing, I'm poisoning the Capra demon, or giving him the toxic status. And toxic lasts for a very long time, and it'll actually, I've sped it up here, and so over a while, it'll actually kill him. You don't need to fight him at all. Don't need to enter the fog gate or anything. Pretty cool. Now, these dogs will run out. I knew this would happen, but I forgot that the shield I'm using is so crappy. And I was so worried about... They were about to break my, my defense. And basically, it's a huge mess. I heal. They're all on me. Get blood loss. I'm like at a sliver. Tried to run away. Look at this teleporting dog. Look at him how he catches up so fast. So I actually died there. So before the Capra demon actually dies, you'll want to just get out of there. To where the dogs can't see you anyways. But he dropped the key that we need. We picked that up instantly, so no worries. Make your way back here, if you died like I did. And we're going to grab the large Ember. Making sure my bones are out, because we'll need those. So this part's a little tricky. I'm going in here with an unupgraded hand axe and an unupgraded cracked shield. Keep in mind, guys, I'm kind of doing this harder than I need to. Like, I could easily just spend 1,000 of those 11,000 souls on, like, a catechist shield at Andre, which we've already been through. I could easily do that. Having a better shield would actually make a world of difference in this part. enemies repelling off your shield is hugely useful. When they can hit you and it follows through and it doesn't stun them at all, that's a huge pain, especially for fighting these hollows. And so I struggle a little bit, but it ends up just fine. So, let it go on record that I do recommend you maybe pick up some better gear at Andre. But I make decent work of it, even being very careless right now. If you want to, you can pull out your crossbow and kind of pull them one at a time using the bow technique. Aim at them and then fire, then switch to your crossbow and then fire. And that will draw them out. So that can help. You could shoot this dog that way. Make sure you clear the room. There is one guy hiding behind that pillar. But I have lots of Estus, I'm not too worried. This part is actually also something you can just do later. You don't necessarily need to do it right now, but I wanted to just get it out of the way here. We're also going to rescue our pyromancy teacher. And this guy, the dogs are so dangerous when you don't have a decent shield. This guy chased me all the way out, and look, he disappears at the door. I only know of one other location where enemies actually disappear if they go too far, which is the entranceway to the bridge to Sen's fortress. The snake men, if they chase you out to the bonfire room and they hit the door to it, they'll just vanish. This guy, you can actually get close enough to hit with your fireball, which will piss off this guy. And so here's how you're going to want to do this. Get away from him. You could just turn around and run. He's, well, not he, she. These are actually women. Do an awesome leap over a table without breaking it. That's very important that you do that. Not really. Go ahead and grab the Ember. Now, I homeward boned out here. Don't do that. What you're going to want to do, and I came back later, spoilers, this is the gear we're going to be using, so there's a little sneak peek there. I came back later because I wanted to show you guys this. We actually want to save Laurentius. I forgot to do that the first time. So, she'll follow you up to about this point and then turn around. Basically, just get past her, run up here, and lose her aggro. Now, you could hear she actually jumped down. I didn't expect her to do that. Which is fine, but that pathway loops around and goes to where we want to go, and the whole point is to avoid her. So, what I'm actually going to do here is wait. You can hear her in the water. I'm waiting for her to get past the water part below, so I know she's not in this hallway we're about to jump into. And right above us, you might have seen her up there, is another one of the butchers. If you jump through that archway and roll through like that, she won't actually jump down. So you'll be perfectly safe. Roll into the barrels, don't hit them or else you might piss him off. Exhaust his dialogue, and then you're going to want to homeward bone out at that point.
Well, I see you made. Yeah.
You can meet him back at Firelink if you want, if you've picked up some extra souls that I haven't, for example. Basically, this guy's going to be what we spend our excess souls on, and we're actually going to have a lot, since we won't be using those souls to level. So pick up all the spells except Fireball, don't really need that. And throughout the game, as you play, he'll be here to upgrade your Pyromancy Flame, which is what you're going to want to use those excess souls on. So just visit him as you see fit. You know, you might... there's certain points here where we're actually going to grind for an item. You might get more souls, less souls than I do. So just if you have excess souls at any time, that's where you're going to want to go to spend them. And so next up, we're going to grab the first of the rings that we'll be mostly using for this build. Watch out for this guy. If you can bait him into doing that ranged attack while you're still fairly close, I'd recommend it. Like, get to the maximum or the minimum range that he'll fire that and then start running, because he can actually, I think, one-shot you if he hits you in the back. I'm not sure if that makes a difference, but that guy's super powerful. So hug the walls, get around him. It's pretty rare that you'll die there. He's usually pretty easy to get around. Make your way through these tree bros. They're not very dangerous. Again, my hand axe, I think, is still unupgraded at this point. Picked up a blooming purple moss. That'll come in handy later, actually. That'll really come in handy. I know for a fact, because I've played ahead, that will come in handy. If you don't get one, don't sweat it. If you feel like you need one... In fact, I'd probably recommend getting one from the undead female merchant if you're ever passing by her. She gives you those as well. It costs 1,000 each. I'd probably pick up 2. Because in Blighttown, we'll make use of those. They cure toxic and poison status. So behind this wall, it's bonfire. And you can go ahead and rest at it. Now, I'd actually recommend that you don't rest there. Just because resting there, we're going to want a homeward bone out. And being able to homeward bone right to Andre is pretty convenient. Because we're going to be fighting a boss here, actually, to get up to 20,000 souls, which we'll use to buy the Crest of Laurentius, which will allow us to open that door by the bonfire that's locked. We're going to want to do that because... Now, I haven't actually made use of it in this playthrough, at least not yet. But that's like one of the best areas to grind souls, is through that doorway. So that's why we're going through this trouble. Summon Beatrice right here. You don't even need to worry about that guy, just go up. He'll actually usually attack right there, so he doesn't get far up the stairwell. That cast he just did makes you walk slowly, but no need to worry, because Beatrice is here. And she is a beast. She's gonna beat this next boss for us. This is how I always fight the Moonlight Butterfly, because it's a ranged fight. And most of the time at this point in the game, at least with this run, you're not gonna have good ranged weapons. I was comparing the cracked shield and the wooden shield's magic defense, and the cracked shield, I believe, actually has the best magic defense that's really available at this point in the game. I was a little surprised. I thought the wooden shield had that, but no, it's actually the cracked wooden shield. So here comes the beautiful butterfly. So yeah, I mean, Beatrice basically will handle this. I'm walking away because those soul masses will fire at the butterfly before it's actually vulnerable. When it's in that flying down animation, it can't be hurt. And so you're going to want to lure Beatrice away so that she doesn't waste that cast. Because she casts kind of slowly, so you don't want to waste it. So lure her away and wait for him to actually become active. Now, this beam, you're going to want to roll into it, or just shield it. I fucked up and rolled away from it, which is about the dumbest thing. But as long as you're at decent health, it won't kill you. You'll have time to heal. I'm trying to hit this guy with pyromancies, and it's barely working. You want to get away fairly early because that will happen. But other than that, pretty easy. You can block this guy really well. And for those, just try to stay perpendicular to the butterfly and just roll. It's real easy to dodge as long as you're fairly perpendicular. And that's that. So now that drops 10,000 souls. And we have enough to buy the crest. And so that'll be our source for souls if we ever need some extra and feel like grinding for them. It'll also be super useful when we go to get an item that will allow us to become a Dark Wraith. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, the crest of Artorias, not the crest, the covenant, the ring that you wear to fight the Four Kings. You're going to want a homeward bone out there. And so, like I said, you could skip this bonfire. I used that bonfire to go human because I didn't want to risk getting killed by the Titanite demon and losing my humanity. That's the main reason I did that. So it is a safer bet. It also allows you to grind these guys again for their moss, which can be super handy. And so I might actually recommend resting at that bonfire. So we'll head back up by the crest of Artorias, and you can skip these for now. Don't need them just yet. Spend the rest on Titanite shards. Buy one less shard than you can afford, because that will leave you a surplus to upgrade with, because it costs 200 souls per upgrade. And if you spend all of them, all of your souls, then you won't be able to upgrade. And so make your way back to this glowy door. Now we're actually going to head down to get the ring first. Now that's a soul. Don't grab this. I made a mistake here. This triggers the ambush, and I knew that would happen, but what I forgot is that this tree out here is still alive. You need to kill this tree. It's a living tree, a moving tree. You need to kill that to get through, and it has a ton of health. And so now I got 3 tree guys on me, and it is a bad situation. They have huge range, so they're hard to dodge, because you might dodge one, but the other will hit you from across the world. And so, very dangerous making it out of there. I opened up the door. That was me opening up the door with the crest. You can see it open there. Only one followed me up, luckily. But yeah, basically, don't get that. It's not worth it at all. Although, I did get some moss out of it. Go ahead and go lumberjack in this tree. Wooyah! That was an anticlimactic hit. Kill this weird stingray frog. Those guys drop stamina grass. They're the only enemy in the game that drop it. So you could also farm them for that right here if you want. There's more of them around, but you don't really need it. Yeah, you can see this tree is actually walking around. So head along the right. There's a path up here. There's going to be one of those big knights. But you can run past him really easy. Grab the wolf ring. You could just homeward bone out right here. I jumped, which is needlessly risky. You can get away with boning out. Put on your wolf ring and get out of there. So now we have 40 poise, which is above the second poise break limit, which is 32. If you have 32 poise, there's a lot of weapons at that point that won't break your poise in one hit. So you want at least 32 poise. I always try to get at least 32 on all my characters, because I like having a lot of poise. So at this point, use up all those spare souls we got, get some Titanite, and upgrade our chest piece, the black leather armor. It's also worth noting that this armor, you could wear armor that's actually 12 better in defense. This isn't the very best set that you can have, but the other set uses the Hollow Warrior pants, or waistcloth, the Cleric hat, in the cleric, not cleric, the sorcerer hat, in the sorcerer chest piece, the sorcerer robe, and it's ugly. It is ugly as sin. If that's a build you like, I believe it also uses the brigand gloves. That will net you 12 more defense, but it looks like crap. So this is actually the best build I could come up with that is just about the best armor you can get, with still looking really nice. Not what we're currently wearing, of course, what we'll eventually be wearing. For the light build, anyways. As I mentioned in the last one, I will offer up alternative builds for people who want to wear heavier armor, have more poise, more defense, which is actually really useful. Yeah, you can see with the wooden shield here, when he hit it, he repelled off and it stunned him a little bit. So we're going to take out this Knight of Veronique and grab that Firekeeper soul. This guy is really easy. Just get close, bait him into an attack, throw a fireball. Simple. Now, right here I messed up. He actually takes a pretty big step forward on that second hit. I've never noticed that before. He actually gains a lot of ground. So, take a fair distance and just hit him with those fireballs. No problem. Usually drops the Titanite shard. I believe he can drop his weapon, but it's pretty rare. Not that we can use it anyways. Grab the Firekeeper soul. We'll use that to reinforce our Estus flask, which means when we use it to heal, it will heal us more. You can fight this guy on the stairs because, as you saw right there, most of his attacks will actually go straight over you. But it's hard to backstab him in there, which is what I want to do. Now, the channeler up here, if you hit this wall just right, you can actually summon him to you. He'll walk around the corner and his little hollows won't follow him. I usually have a really good success rate with this, but I got too close and I missed my hit there and they all saw me. But you can get him to come at you by himself, using these fireballs to get combos on those guys, hit multiple ones at once. Just be very careful here, because the channeler in particular, you see that blue mist stuff around them? That's a buff that he's given them and himself. It buffs their damage. And so like that hit right there can actually one-shot you, I believe. That one where he spins it as well. So just be very careful, play it very defensively. And again, those fireballs are super useful for that. But not too hard, I made it. I was like, those corpses, if you didn't see, just kind of appeared there. That was weird. But that's okay, they can't stop us with their corpse illusions. Because we're soul level 1 beating the game and we're badasses. Backstabbing is the flavor of the week for these Balder Knights. Risky there. Basically stick to backstabbing and let him bounce off your shield. Leap attacks if he goes into his parry stance. Those guys can parry you as well. And so right here we're rescuing our good old friend here. Our dearest, dearest friend who would never betray us. That is Lautrec the Embraced. His armor has huggy arms on it. I'll take this opportunity to note that some of these episodes some parts are chopped up and some are played through like this. If I'm going into a new area that I haven't shown you guys yet, I'll show all of my progress through it. If we're repeating an area, I'll chop it up. So at that point, I headed down to the elevator shortcut after rescuing Lautrec, because this is where we're going to get our final ring. These will be the 2 main rings for this build. Rest here for the 10 Estus, and go ahead and do your weak attack and forward at the same time to kick him off the cliff. Down he goes. Exit the game and come back. You'll find on the ground 5 humanity and the Ring of Favor and Protection. So a lot of humanity, and we're going to need that actually for this next bit. You can actually turn around right there and reinforce your flask, but I would advise you do that. But next up, we're going to get our shield that we're going to use for this playthrough. Talk to all 4 of these guys, exhaust their dialogue, because then that will trigger them to leave. And that'll be important for later. But yeah, for now, we're going to head up and farm the Balder Knights. For those of you guys that are following along with this playthrough and know how to farm them, go ahead and do that. I'll be back Wednesday with exactly how that's done, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, guys. Like the video if you want to support the series, favorite it if you want to support it, and I'll see you guys Wednesday.